Welcome back, Deadites and Ghost Speeders, and if you're new to the channel, I am Oldhead Gaming, and here we are at day 102 with no news, and we're starting to get to the point where I don't know what to say anymore other than, if you're just going to drop double XP weekends, which we are playing on right now, just let us know. Let's be honest, at some point, we need to talk about this giant elephant in the room. So let's start at point one, which was, we all know Cal, who was the community manager. And you probably know him from, of course, the dev streams, when they did dev streams, before they discontinued dev streams and stopped doing dev streams. Other than that, though, you never saw him. He was one of the most inactive and inept community managers I have ever seen in any game I've ever covered. He generally seemed to dislike the game he was working for, and apparently now is no longer with Saber. So is that a good thing or a bad thing? Well, since he was let go last week, we've still had 0 posts, so might not make any difference. I was hoping that they would finally start to turn it up with maybe hiring a new person that shows some fervor towards Evil Dead the game, but that doesn't seem to be the case yet either, or they're just still out hiring. I haven't heard one way or another if they've completely replaced their community manager or not, or it's just another step towards just ghosting the Evil Dead community, which they've been so good at. Now, we have a double XP weekend. I'm going to be streaming tonight, of course, for the last night of it. But, is that it? Is that all we should expect? It's been 102 days even since we've had an update. I'm not even talking about a content drop, which is the same amount of time. But even a update to patch things, fix bugs, do balance, anything. Because even if you're not considering the game live service, there should still be live updates on a game in less than a third of a year. We're now at the point where we're over 100 days without even an update. I want to believe in this game. We've done 3 straight months of having a double XP weekend, but you just see nothing other than Tim's post of, there's news soon, we're going to get back to you. But, at some point, where does the soon end and actual news begin? Because at this point, we are just basically left out there. If we play the game, great. And if you don't play the game, I completely understand. I'm going to play today tonight, but I know some of my community is completely just disgusted with the condition of Evil Dead the game and don't want to play it because of rule number 1 to any live service game. Respect my time. And one of the things that Evil Dead the game does not do is respect the player's time. They treat us like afterthoughts. They don't really want to commit to anything. And if the game is done, just tell us. We can accept that and play it for what it is. If I want to play a match because it's fun, sure. But I know there's nothing coming. Now, there had been rumors that I had heard in the first 2 or 3 months of the game that Evil Dead Rise was supposed to come to the game. So maybe, just maybe, we will have a final update of the game with Evil Dead Rise, and then we can just kind of move away from it. And when they can just finally drop it, probably sometime around October, and go, this is the final update. Because I feel like this ambiguity is much more toxic than just being honest and saying, listen, we never planned for this game to be a long-term live service game. They don't have to call it a cash grab. They don't have to say we just had a year plan, but just say, hey, we did not expect that this game was going to go as far as it did. And we just don't have those kind of plans for the game. Being honest with us would be much better than just keep going, there's news coming, there's news coming. Someday, somehow, somewhere, there's news coming. Because that's what's happening right now. We're all just basically here sitting around waiting for some sort of news other than double XP weekends. Because sure, they're great for helping bust through that ridiculous prestige system that was implemented, but it really doesn't do much else. And there's people I know with millions and millions of spirit points going, I don't even know what to do with it. So my hope from Evil Dead the game, and this is, I think, the best case scenario, is that we have one last chapter and they just tell us the game is just never getting an update after that. And I'm okay with that. I've come to the conclusion, I've come to the realization that Saber and the community have completely different ideas of what Evil Dead was going to be. We always knew, they told us they did not want any kind of premium currency. They did not want any kind of market, which makes no sense for a live service game because that is the steady revenue stream that keeps more content coming. And so they turned their back from that immediately. They said they had no interest in that and they wanted to do the season pass. And then they've done 2 chapters since the season pass, and of course the Savini Ash skin, the $40 version and then the $30 version. So as we got to the point where your player base dwindles and dwindles and dwindles, I don't know what they can actually do to save the game. I think we might be at the point where it's too far gone. And that's okay. Like, it's all right to accept the fact the game doesn't have a future and still feel okay playing it. Like, I have no problem playing it tonight because it's going to be fun and I'm going to enjoy those matches I play, but I can't look at this game as having any real future. And I think you shouldn't either. And if we get a Swan Song chapter, I feel like that's gravy at this point. Any game that goes 100 days, or in this case now we're at 102 and counting, where they haven't done even an update or said a word about it, is typically not very much in love with their game. They either want it to be done, they don't know how to end it, or they just don't want to piss off the people all the rest of the way. And what few people are still left playing the game, they're kind of happy just leaving them in this ambiguity and this purgatory is kind of where we're at. And for me, this sucks. If you watch the dev stream with Matt and Wes from Gun on Thursday, you see clearly a group of developers who care about their game. You see the same thing when Matthew Cote talks about Dead by Daylight. I know Dead by Daylight gets smashed all the time for basically just producing the same content over and over again, but with licenses. But that's okay, because we know what we're getting. We're okay just waiting for Alien to drop this week. We're okay waiting for whatever the license is in November. We want to hear those things. We want a developer that actually cares about their game and talks to us. And I emphatically say Saber is not that team. They clearly are unhappy, the fact they're still even working on it. And we all heard what Tim had to say about maps are hard. Like, who the fuck comes out and says that to their actual community, that the reason we've lied to you about making any new maps for the game is because they're hard? Like, this is a developing team that clearly bit off more than they can chew and are ready to get the hell out. And I think at this point, the best we can hope for is one last update. And I'm not even talking about quality of life updates. I'm talking about like one Swan Song chapter. You'll get whatever quality of life there is. They might do some balancing changes. They'll probably drop one last survivor, maybe one last demon, and then they're out. They're just like, later mates, and that is where we're at. There is no other way that this game could be going, because you can't let your competition just keep pumping out content or dropping new games and just ignoring the fact that they even exist, except for some double points weekends. So let me know, guys, what do you think? Do you think Evil Dead has any future at all? Do you even think the Swan Song chapter I'm talking about would even exist? Or do you think the game's in good condition? Let me know in the comments below. As always, thanks for watching, and later, mates.